Best Bets show presented by BetRivers. I'm Kai McEwen. We are the three-man weave. And happy Red Taylor's version day out there. My friend told me to say that. I don't actually know what it really means, guys. It's not part of who I am. But for those who understand that little reference, that's for you. Congratulations.
Have you? How much Taylor Swift have you listened to in your life?
Probably too little, Jim. Honestly, I like her. I have nothing against Taylor Swift. She's wonderful. I just, anyways,
you're very tone deaf culturally.
I'm tone deaf culturally.
It's a bad look for us. It's a bad look.
It is. Yeah. That aside, college basketball. That's what we're here to talk about. We got a big slate today. Big Friday slate. That's going to cool off as the season goes on. But in November, we got some massive, massive slates. Tons of games to talk about. As we normally do, we're going to run down our little list we have in our outline. We're going to hit some chat mob questions throughout the show. So please, if you have any questions on some bets today, fire in that YouTube chat. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is the Field of 68's Best Bets. That's where you will find all our videos every single day. Tomorrow, Saturday, we're coming to you live at 10:15 a.m. Mark your calendars.
Central. Kai, give them the time zone. You're so
Central
time zone centric to yourself. It's not
I am.
fair.
That's bias.
It's the best time zone. It is.
Before we get into the show, Jim, takeaways from yesterday. What'd you see? What'd you like?
We had a buzzer beater day, Kai. It was phenomenal. Yeah. We had a 65-footer for UC Riverside. JP Mormon, 1.7 left, buried it at the horn. He was on Field of 68's After Dark last night. That was very cool hearing his immediate reaction to that. But then, Matt, we had another one. San Jose State's Trey Smith at the horn on an offensive board, getting Tim Miles his first win in charge of San Jose State, breaking the Fullerton Hearts. It was a great third day of hoops. We had buzzer beaters.
It's awesome. Two coaches that we love, Jim, Mike MacPayo, and I'm blanking.
Tim Miles?
Tim Miles, obviously. God, like, so dumb. But Jim, I'm going to go with the complete opposite of the spectrum. A somber note for a program that is in complete shambles. The Washington Huskies. It turns out they are, in fact, still a terrible basketball team.
Hey, they won by double digits.
Oh, but they were down second half, Jim. Like, after losing to Northern Illinois in fairly convincing fashion, I'd argue, that was the response. Your second home game to come out with, hey, we're not this bad, and you can't get away from NAU. That was a damning sign. Only two teams have a worse cover margin relative to spread expectations this year with 2 games played. Northern Iowa, another team that drove us up wall yesterday, and Creighton. So, some teams to kind of keep an eye on. Struggling early. Washington's just bad, Kai. Creighton, I think, has an excuse. You and I sort of integrating the 2020 core to some degree. Washington, just bad. Hard. You cannot make any excuse for that team. In no way can your money be trusted in that investment.
Yeah, you and I. If you were a backer yesterday, you beat the line. You find out Ryan Davis is out for the game. You're already counting your money, and then they're terrible. They looked, frankly, out of sorts. The role players were bad. AJ Green, he was doing his thing, but credit to Vermont. That's a very, very good basketball team. Look for them to be rolling through the America East again. I cannot believe they were picked second in that league. That still blows my mind. Okay, let's get on with the show. Starting off with the game of the day, Villanova at UCLA. This one's huge, guys. Huge. UCLA hovering around, I think, 3 or 4 guys. I don't have the updated spread in front of me at the moment.
I'll work on that for you. I'll try to be a spread guy in a second.
Yeah, appreciate it. We've been on record of just not having UCLA in our top 3, like a lot of publications out there. We've been higher on Nova. I think we had them ranked 3rd. Matt, do you like Villanova as a dog in the situation? Not a dog very much. This is kind of uncharted territory for them.
It's 12th time in the last 5 years that Jay Wright's been a dog.
Wow.
12. That's it.
That's not very much.
Jim, I'm sure you'll share. I got to think those have gone pretty well for the Wildcats in those games.
I can't say.
I will give you the glory when it's your turn to speak. Kai, I'm just shocked that we're not all emphatically on Nova here. I think we've been branded as an anti-UCLA organization. Ironically, we all bet on them first game. They covered easily. And I think this number is spot on, even without Cody Riley. Matchup wise, though, Jim, I have some concerns for the host Bruins here. Just with the wing laden roster they have, I just think Nova is so built to mitigate that. We saw Brandon Slater have an impressive debut against Mount St. Mary's. They put him at the top of like that 1-2-2 press. And Nova just looked a lot longer and a lot more imposing physically than I think I'd remember from last season. And that's a great counter, the immovable object meets the immovable object type of scenario when you go up against UCLA's positional size from 2 through 5. Tiger Campbell, the outlier, but everyone else there is 6'6" and long.
Yeah, sitting at 3.5 at BetRivers right now. And Matt, to reveal it, Jay Wright is 7-3-1 as an underdog against the spread.
Pretty good.
over the last 5 years. Yep, pretty solid. Maybe I knocked UCLA a little more for no Cody Riley here than you guys. I actually ended up on Villanova at 4. I just think Riley makes a difference in the fact that the way you take advantage of what Villanova is bad at. They are a poor interior defending team. It is not their strength. They don't have like a true center, true shot blocker, and you can play through Riley offensively. Miles Johnson is a great backup center, but if you're playing through him, I think Villanova's happy with that. That's great. Riley was in the 65th percentile as a post scorer last year. Johnson was in the 35th. So if Villanova's like just letting them go one-on-one with Miles Johnson, that's a win. And that weaponizes the Jermaine Samuels at center lineup on the offensive end. They can go a little smaller, dare UCLA to play through Johnson. And then, man, when they're spread out like Nova can with all the skill they have all over the court, that's very tough to stop. I'm liking Villanova here down at 3.5. It's a little dicey for me. I liked that 4, but I do like right as a dog guy.
Yeah, for as great as Johnson is defensively, and he is great, Matthew, he's not a guy you play through on the post. So Riley being out is huge, Jim. I think it is very big. Will Johnny Juzang go off again? And he pretty much continued his tournament streak against Bakersfield. Like, he has confidence through the roof right now. And maybe he does, but like Matt said, Villanova's length like shocked me. Obviously they're playing Mount St. Mary's, but they looked enormous. Slater at the top of that press was intimidating as hell. And UCLA is of course a different animal, but this Villanova team is very, very good. Jim, they go 5 out. You're stretching Miles Johnson out on the perimeter. I think advantage Nova there. I'm leaning towards the dog in this game.
I'm curious to see if UCLA matches them and goes small. Like if you play Juzang and Jaquez at like 4-5, like that could be a pretty scary lineup itself.
Right.
Maybe we get a little more up and down or some efficiency on the offensive end, because I don't have much of a take on the total. Both these coaches like to play slow, but I think both teams can score a little bit. So staying away from the total here. Matt, to your point, actually both your guys' point about Villanova looking big, like Mount St. Mary's is a big mid-major team.
Right, exactly. That's what I think why it popped.
6'8", 6'9", 6'9" up front. Their guards aren't tiny, but it was like, oh, Villanova's just bigger. Like these are bigger kids. They're stronger. They're more stout. It was surprising to see.
Get your popcorn ready. A lot of fireworks tonight. That game's
late.
Gonna be awesome.
Stay up late, Kai. Get your coffee brewing at 9
I'm going to stay up late. I'm more of an Eagle, Jim, than a night owl, but I'm going to stay up late. Let's move on. Speaking of late, San Diego State versus BYU. BYU favored by 3 at BetRivers currently. Fun matchup here. Fun matchup, Jim. 2 top 25 teams, in my opinion. Very well coached teams. Obviously, San Diego State was pretty impressive against Riverside, a team that we just talked about. Beat Arizona State on a buzzer beater. And BYU kind of survived a battle with Cleveland State, but that's a team you're always going to battle with. Who do you lean in this game?
I'm leaning towards San Diego State. It's not super strong, but they've got a little revenge on the mind after BYU went to San Diego and won by double digits last year. That's not great. And we got a second straight matchup here where the center is out for the home team. Richard Harward missing for BYU. Had a little like knee trouble and then a cardiovascular scare. So he's out indefinitely. Not really sure what's happening with him. But you're already going to be pretty jump shot reliant against San Diego State's pack line. And without Harward, they have no real interior scoring. Like he's the only big guy on that team that is like a true go-to threat inside. So Matt, they're very jump shot reliant here. And with Dutcher on the sideline for San Diego State and that little revenge, extra juice motivation, I lean towards the dog. What do you think?
Yeah, the revenge is actually why I'm staying away from BYU. I made this number look closer to 5. I love the Mormons. I'm not putting too much stock in that Cleveland State game. I was on BYU in that game, a loser for me, but you're right, Kai. The Vikings just reinforce that, thorn inside type of style. They come at you with waves of pressure and length. So I want to give BYU a pass for that. Although against San Diego State, you're not going to get much reprieve. I think the big question mark, Jim, you mentioned the upfront battle potentially, or without Harward for BYU. Can they play through Nathan Mensah? He's not exactly an ultra assertive scorer, but he's a skilled, you can play inside out through him. Wonder if Dutcher looks to exploit some of that inside. And I think Dutcher, you're right, Jim, a good defensive tactician. And now he's seen Mark Pope's playbook to some degree after that matchup last year. So a lot of angles pointing toward San Diego State's favor. I just think the price is a little bit too low, Kai, but it could just be a function of me being really high on the Mormons.
Mm-hmm. Matt Bradley versus Alex Barcello. That's an awesome matchup right there.
Barcello?
Barcello? Can I say Barcello?
I guess if you really want to.
Is it Barcello?
think it's Barcelo.
Hey, Bradley looked awesome in his debut, by the way. 23
they both
points.
did.
Yeah.
Didn't take a single 3-pointer, which was impressive. He's fitting in just as we expected.
Yeah, I think Barcelo didn't miss a shot. I think he had 24 points also in his debut
against a really good defensive team. So
yeah, gonna be a great game. Moving on to another good game. SMU at Oregon. BetRivers spread is -7 in favor of the Ducks. Matt, I think we mentioned somewhere else. I think Oregon's going to take some time to get going this year. We all think they're going to be awesome in March. Maybe a couple bumps in the road to start the season off. Do you believe in the Ducks tonight against SMU, or are you back in the fight in Jankovic's? He's on the hot seat this year for the Mustangs.
He shouldn't be. Keep him.
Shouldn't be.
Pony
Really?
Express needs him. Yes, he's the commander on the saddle. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's like an upset. I like Yankovic. I've given him plenty of excuses, too many excuses probably the last couple of seasons.
With the second half collapses, Matt, is that on him a little bit?
It's got to be coaching. Yeah, I think there's also just some young immaturity of kids get up big leads, they blow them all the time. Whatever. Anyway, it's college basketball. Weird stuff happens
For like 5 straight years.
Yeah,
it's been like a 2-year trend. It's probably systemic at this point.
Can't happen this year because their top 7 is like 5th-year seniors, so better not happen.
Yeah, there's literally no excuse this season if there really was one last year. But Kai, back to the Oregon battle, 2 teams that we like, 2 teams that I really like personally. I'm just not ready to back Oregon yet. It doesn't feel like they're a finished product. Dana Altman was very explicit about mentioning how they've not gotten up to speed because of some key injuries. It's been confirmed that Quincy Guerrier and Fred Kepnang are both playing tonight. 2 key starters, but they're not at 100%. Presumably they haven't had a full practice. So this is an Oregon team. We've said it in the offseason, it's going to take some time. So if you're looking to back them, I don't think now is the time, even at home in a tough road travel for SMU. And a lot of that's just due to the Ponies. I think they're a great team. I'm not sure what the pace plays out here. I can't really put my finger on, but it feels like a slower type of game, a gut lean to the under, Jim.
Yeah, I got absolutely nothing here. I think the line is right. The total is right. And I'm still waiting out both of them a little bit. SMU has the bodies to go at them in the paint a little bit with Weathers and Tristan Clark, but with no Nefali Dante, that's a weakness for Oregon. I don't know. Kepnang is going to play. Gary is going to play. They were iffy a little bit, but reported as in. I don't know, Kai. I wish I had a stronger feel in this one. It's like Matt said, it's 2 teams I like long term, so I'm just going to stay away.
Yeah, I'm leaning Ponies here a little bit at 7. I like the Kendrick Davis leadership at point guard. Like I said, I don't think Oregon is close to a finished product yet. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. Both teams are pretty impressive in their debuts, playing lower major squads. So again, it's another one of these games. It's going to be a fun watch. But I am leaning towards the dog a bit here. All right, moving on to Matt's 2 favorite teams in college basketball. That is Oregon State and Iowa State. Hilton Magic is back. We got fans in the stands, and the Clones are now a slight favorite at BetRivers, -0.5. Can't say I've seen that spread too many times. Oregon State started off as a favorite on the road in Ames. Matt, Oregon State was the tournament darlings, one of many last season, making the Elite 8, shoving your preview directly in your face.
Yes. Yep.
Do you think they can beat Iowa State, or does Hilton Magic come to play tonight?
I cannot believe we're talking about a world in which Iowa State is basically a coin flip with Oregon State in their own building, but just shows how far the mighty have fallen. Oregon State, we talked about this as well, probably getting a little too much hubbub this offseason. I'm not buying into it. Jim, I'm like you last game. I have no feel for this game. It feel like I made this number. I was like, I don't know, Iowa State -1. I threw my hands up in the air. Could see it going a million different ways. Wayne Tinkle mixes in defenses. Iowa State doesn't really know what their pecking order is with all their newcomers. I have no idea. This is a hard stay away for me.
I lean towards the home team. I think Iowa State might be a little more ready. Like the Oregon State performance against shorthanded Portland State was not exciting. Like they were trailing most of the first half, never pulled away at all in the second half. It was basically like a toss up until they extended to I think they won by 9. Iowa State, not really impressive against Kennesaw either. 11 point win there. Both have some question marks for me. Like this is the opposite of how I feel about SMU Oregon. Like I'm low on both of these teams long term, so kind of stay away in that regard. But if I had to take one, it would be Iowa State here with Hilton Magic. Kai
Joe Kidd pointing out in the chat, Stevie Thompson is not walking through that door. That's very true.
There's Ethan Thompson. No one. There's no.
There's Ethan Thompson.
You finally have Oregon State without a Tinkle, Thompson, or Thompson. So we'll see how that pans
Except
out.
on the sidelines.
True. On the court, none of those will be available.
Yeah, another team covered in their first game against lower major squads. Portland State, maybe that's a little insulting calling them lower and lower major, but I think Oregon State's overrated. I would really liked when they were favored because I was going to try to back the Clones there. Right now that it's flipped, probably just staying away. No point in forcing it. I do lean towards the Clones as well, though. All right, Matthew, you're a chat czar.
I do.
What questions do we have?
I am, and I do have questions.
I will be auditing your work. I've been keeping a list.
I don't like this. It's probably appropriate, though. All right, we're going to start off with Austin. He's asking about ETSU App State. Interesting matchup here. East Tennessee State, kind of a new type of identity this year, Kai, under new leadership. We saw App State slow the pace down, I believe, in their opener. Do you think there's more of a tempo, pace, over, under type lean here, or do you have any side opinions?
I think ETSU wants to play faster this year. But I wouldn't take one side or the other here against, like you said, a team that wants to literally slow the pace down to a crawl in App State. I think ETSU might be a little bit underrated heading into the year. People assume they're going to drop off after the coaching change. There's a lot of talent on this roster. I actually lean towards them at +2 against App State. Obviously, they were tournament representative last year. There was a little bit of luck in that run there, winning the Sun Belt. So I do lean towards ETSU.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kai. I would maybe be interested in taking ETSU if I had a better feel for Desmond Oliver on the sideline. But as it stands, I know that I love Dustin Kearns as a coach for Appalachian State. And I don't feel comfortable backing an unknown against a guy that I really, really like. Right. You basically need them to win outright at that number. And it's a tough ask. App State started with a very competitive performance on the road, ended up fading late. But I think they're at least decent, and it's enough to make it stay away here.
First game for ETSU too.
Yep.
By the way,
I don't know if we've seen any major trends or edges emerge from that, but anecdotally, I'm with you. I don't love taking teams playing their first game, especially against a team with at least a day or two of rest with some experience, already have one under the belt.
Vermont says,
shove it. Shut up, Matt. Well, they played Northern Iowa, who has just been a kind of a dumpster fire so far. Jim, I'm going to you here. West Coast, a lot of West Coast love on today's outline. Texas Southern, one of a couple of SWAC schools on a West Coast tour. They are going into St. Mary's. They just played at Oregon, I believe 2 nights ago or 2 or 3 nights ago.
Tuesday night. Yep.
Tuesday night. This spread is sitting at 17 right now. Jim, here's how I look at this handicap. St. Mary's was, I think, laying around the same number against Prairie View. So you can kind of look at St. Mary or Texas Southern, Prairie View. Who do you think's better? I have them, 1A, 1B. I think Prairie View's impressed me a little bit more, but the number feels sharp to me. Do you think there's more of a matchup edge here?
Not really. I have it a little bit lower. I think Texas Southern's talent really impressed me. I watched some of the Oregon game and they looked solid. They also looked like very game as underdogs, where they got down 20 a couple times, got it back to 14 or something. They weren't ready to roll over. And in a pretty low pace game, St. Mary's doesn't want to run up and down. They do have a little more shooting this year, especially with the return of Dukas. He hit 6 in their opener.
Look great.
St. Mary's. Yeah. But I would lean towards Texas Southern. Matt, the SWAC teams have been excellent.
They will not die.
Year.
SWAC, MEAC, Southland, they will not go away. There's always a bunch of cockroaches, all of them. It's incredible.
Yeah, so I would definitely lean towards Texas Southern, but it's not something where it's a must play. 17.5 at BetRivers if you want that half point.
I'm a little nervous to fade St. Mary's. I think they're excellent this season.
Yes, I agree.
I'd be wary of fading them early on.
But I agree that the question was framed as I think he was implying Texas Southern's catching too many. That was my first gut reaction as well. But maybe, I'm with you, Kai. I'm not really in a fade St. Mary's mode right now.
Matt, to compare it to your point, I mean, both Prairie View and Texas Southern want to play fast. So it does have some pace questions with
a little tug of war pace there.
Yep.
Another one that actually, this one's probably just a handshake agreement on playing up and down here. Kai, Bryant versus Rhode Island, battle of the state of Rhode Island for who is the king in that state. Pretty big number. I think it opened at 11. Now it's been bet down to 10. Do you check me on that current line?
It's 8.5 at BetRivers.
8.5. My goodness, the sharps are piling on the Bulldogs, and I think they're sharp for a reason here. I think the bet is Bryant, Kai.
Yeah, I mean, right now maybe not, but double digits. I was liking Bryant quite a bit. Peter Kiss and Chris Childs, those are the keys. They were out last game. I think it's disciplinary.
It was. And Grasso said they'll be back soon, very coyly. Okay. 2
of their best players. I'm pretty sure both are preseason all NEC guys. If those guys are in, I definitely lean towards Bryant in this game.
Yeah, 8.5 is a little low,
Right.
I would say. But as Matt said, this should be a track meet. Like the teams are just going to hand the baton to each other back and forth. Should be happy to run up and down. The total reflects that, unfortunately. But if you're just looking for something fun to watch, Bryant games are always up there, just because of the way they fire, the way they run up and down. This will be an entertaining one at the very least.
Yeah, I wouldn't endorse Bryant at the current number. I think it's the value's evaporated at this point. I also am not going to bet the over, despite some kind of talking out the other side of my mouth here. I wonder if Fats Russell was so much a part of Rhode Island's pace. That's my only concern. So I'm going to stay a little bit away there, because we've seen him dial up Maryland's tempo the last couple of games. So again, that's just sit back, put the feet up, get the popcorn.
Yeah, that one got bet up like 5 points, the total. So again,
okay, probably. There you go. The Sharps are sharp this year. Good for them. Julian asking, is 25 points too low for Kansas? Jim, they are hosting the Fighting Billy Gillespies in Tarleton. Tarleton. Why am I saying
Tarleton?
Tarleton. What am I saying?
Tarleton.
Like Charles.
They're the Texans. They're based in Texas. And Jim, they are feisty. Tarleton's one of my favorite dogs. I was
going to kick this right back to you. Tell us why you love Billy Clyde as a dog.
I watched their exhibition. Yes, I watched Tarleton play an exhibition game.
Tarleton.
The Texans play an exhibition game, and I was uber impressed. This team has a bunch of positionless 6'4" to 6'7" wings. They kind of remind me of like an SFA team where there's really no positions. It looks chaotic. It looks helter-skelter, but they play such good defense and they take good shots. I think Billy Gillespie's going to have that program as a pretty solid middle of the tier whack by end of year. So I actually would lean Tarleton here, but I don't want to get in front of the Kansas freight train either. That's where I stand.
If they don't play hard, Billy Clyde's going to punch him in the face. So
they're a pain to play against, and they slow the game. 60 possessions against Stanford. I know Stanford doesn't want to run, and Kansas likes to more, but they will literally do anything to stop the pace, and it's going to be a crawl. I do lean towards Tarleton as well.
I can think of a couple of games last year we faded Tarleton, and we were just like, there's no more fun. There's no less fun team to fade than Tarleton. It's just not.
I remember taking Grand Canyon as a favorite against them, and it was like, well, there's only 5 more possessions left in the game, and it's 7 minutes left. So what do we do here?
Yeah, it feels like quicksand. David C. asking about Coppin State. A little extra special here, Kai. 3rd game in 4 days. We took the Fighting Coppins against DePaul. Juan Dixon lost his mind. I believe they racked up 4 technicals in that game. He got tossed. They looked noticeably frustrated, but it was a much more encouraging effort after their opening game shellacking. I think catching 15, even in this tough spot, going all the way back to the East Coast in New Jersey to play Ryder, is a lot. I like Coppin.
Yeah, spread's high. I lean towards Coppin. I can't say I like him because of three games, 4 days, but I don't think Ryder's necessarily a great team again, quite yet. They obviously have some players back to Vincio Vaughn, the boomerang transfer. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Coppin in this game.
I like the over. I think Ryder got stuck in a crawl against Duquesne. The team doesn't want to play very fast with a freshman point guard. Coppin wants to go. They might end up with the top ranked tempo in the entire country this year. A little concerned because of the rest or tiredness situation, 3rd and 4 days and traveling from Illinois, but I think it'll be a track meet.
I like that. Jim Ryder also depleted up front, to say the least. So I think it's going to be a guard centric type of game. Free player movement should play well for the pace. I will put a pin in the chat questions. I'll catalog them. Let's get back to the outline.
All right. Next game is a neutral site game, Utah State and Richmond. This game is in Annapolis, Maryland. Beautiful Annapolis.
Wow.
I thought Richmond was the much better team coming into this game, but their first game with North Carolina Central was a dogfight. It was tight. They got down 14 in the first half in that game, but Utah State lost to UC Davis, Jim. Not a great first showing for Ryan Odom. I just think Richmond has too much talent here. They run such beautiful offense. So I'm leaning towards them in this game.
I like the dog, honestly. UMBC West.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. They can't be as bad as they showed in that opening performance. The coach is too good. There's enough talent. Matt's boy, Justin Bean, still there, dominating the glass. And yeah, as you mentioned, Richmond's debut was not overwhelmingly great either. Definitely played a worse opponent than UC Davis, and it took quite an effort. I don't think Gilliard left the floor, which is concerning.
Played all 40.
Yeah.
it's not great. So I would personally lean towards the underdog just because I think neither were impressive, and Richmond's still figuring out their bench situation, but not strong.
Yeah, nothing strong for me either, Kai. Maybe an overlane. I know Odom wants to push the pace a little bit this year. He's talked about how they're going to shoot a lot of threes. He's one of those money ball, analytically driven. It's about spacing. It's about the three ball, preventing your opponents from shooting threes. And just generally, they're going to play analytically smart. But Richmond, one of the sharpest organizations in college basketball. So there's not really that intelligence edge. I have no feel for this game. I think 6 is probably what it should be. It opened a little bit low. I think at 5, I want to say. 6 feels like the right number. I think it's a stay away.
Yeah,
6.5 currently.
6.5. Okay.
This is kind of a litmus test for me. Richmond, are you truly an at-large contender with all of your super seniors and seniors? Utah State, are you going to be competitive under Ryan Odom? Litmus test, says I. Next game, Western Kentucky at versus Minnesota. Another neutral site game here. This one's in Asheville, North Carolina, a beautiful city by all accounts, guys. I've never been. A lot of breweries, apparently.
I have heard that.
Check it out sometime. Yeah. WKU is favored here, which should not surprise anybody, despite Minnesota being the higher conference team here. It's Hilltoppers -2.5 at BetRivers. Matt, Minnesota sucks, but Western Kentucky looked really bad in their first game. They barely beat Alabama State. What do you think?
I'm reconciling in my mind how to make sense of all these teams that had struggles against the SWAC, MEAC, and Southland team. Like, are we going to paint them all with a damning brush? Or are we going to give them a pass and chalk it up to some trend that all these, the MEAC, SWAC, and Southland schools are just ultra feisty? I don't know. Here's how I see this matchup, though, Jim. It's Western Kentucky, a mid-major with high major talent, against Minnesota, a high major with mid-major talent. So in that,
very well put.
In that light, I think the spread feels accurate. The key question, though, for Western Kentucky is they're not going to integrate Cameron Justice, sharpshooter, who's mysteriously back in the fold, getting an extra year of eligibility. I think he can be a real difference maker, but you're just going to throw him into the fire. It's hard to bank on some massive boost from him.
Yeah, probably not right away. And they still don't have Keith Williams awaiting his eligibility concerns. Zion Harmon, the dynamic freshman point guard, still out. I have a soapbox about Cameron Justice, but maybe this isn't the place for it. I'll leave it alone. He was a grad assistant at the school, and then they appealed for an extra year, and he got it. Compared to Northern Kentucky's Tyler Sharp, who did not get an extra year.
Played 1 minute, I think. 1 minute for.
They both played 7 games in the lost year, and one of them got an extra year of eligibility, and one didn't. It's a little dicey, I would say.
At least they're consistent. That's good.
Yeah, right. I don't have a lot in this one. I want to take Western Kentucky, but I was not impressed with them in the first game. I think they need Keith Williams to be the best version of themselves. They do seem to play better when it's more even competition or as an underdog. Don't like them as a big favorite. This one's close to the range where you're probably comfortable taking the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, if Williams is in, I definitely take the Hilltoppers here.
For sure, yes.
There's nobody behind Eric Curry inside from Minnesota. It's just kind of bleak there. So I think West Kentucky, Matt, like you said, has the better athletes. So I am leaning towards the Hilltoppers here. Excuse me. Moving on. South Dakota State at Alabama.
You all right, buddy?
I was trying to fight back a yawn during that.
It's early. It's only noon our time, Kai.
South Dakota State at Alabama. I'm not bored with you guys. I promise. A little tired. South Dakota State at Alabama is our next game. This game is going to be awesome, Jim. It's a big spread. Alabama took care of business against Louisiana Tech, and we thought they might struggle in that game. No, we were wrong. Keon Ellis could be a star. And their big guys didn't even play very well. Bediako got in foul trouble, and Gurley had a 52-0 rating. So what do you think about this game?
Yeah, Gurley was in foul trouble too. They if they win by 25 again, they're like a top 5 team. It's just incredible if they do that twice in a row against mid-major favorites. I think the South Dakota State performance against Bradley was deceptively, it wasn't as good as it looked. They shot 28% inside the arc against Bradley. That's not great. And that was masked by shooting 45% from deep and 98% from the free throw line.
That's what they do.
Sorry, 97%, 28 of 29. That made look like, okay, blowout. This team is in a different league than Bradley, but I think there were some cracks in the armor with that interior issues. Dougie Wilson was 5 of 19 from the floor. That is not great. Alabama's got athletes. They'll throw it at you. They'll run up and down. This is going to be a shootout, but I think with the athleticism edge for Alabama, I would lean their way. I just think South Dakota State isn't quite as good as they look, Matt.
I'm torn on South Dakota State. part of me looks at that result, which is an impressive win on the surface against a team that I like, but also a Bradley team that is a lot of new pieces, a lot of new parts, going to be more of a work in progress to start. South Dakota State, one of the highest continuity teams in the country. You'd figure they come out guns blazing, and it looks like they have at least shooting it. Kai, using a similar analogy that I used earlier with the Texas Southern Prairie View, you look at this matchup, Alabama's laying 12 to South Dakota State. They were just laying, I believe, a point less to La Tech. So it's, you can do the transitive property. Is La Tech on par with South Dakota State? I think that's a fair assumption. South Dakota State's impressed me enough. You can make the case that La Tech's a little bit better, and this probably reflects that 1 point difference in the line. I think the line's sharp, so it's a stay away for me, and a good chance to learn about two teams that could both be awesome this year. Categorically better than many thought.
South Dakota State's a fun dog because they can shoot. They might be the best shooting team in the country. So they can pull a back door here. I'm leaning towards the Jack Bunnies. They are my favorite team in college basketball. Apparently, I'm always seem to be on the Jack Bunnies. Moving on. Last game on the rundown with some more chat questions. Then we'll end with our best bets here. Wright State at Marshall, an awesome mid-major matchup here. I believe 2.5 was the spread last time I checked.
I got you,
guys.
Kai.
Help me out with that one.
Lots of Marshall -2.
Marshall -2. Lots of points in this one, says I, Matthew.
60 total.
Yeah, that's huge. Kim Pom thinks it's going to be 76 possessions. I think it'd be even more. This would be the first game for Marshall, Matt. Wright State had a non-D1 tune-up. I think both teams are kind of legit this year.
I do too. Another revenge factor. We talked about this with San Diego State and BYU. These two teams played in the non-con last year, and Marshall destroyed them. It was Marshall's really good moment. Aha epiphany that we had last season with that team. Wright State, we shortly found out, was also awesome. They put the hurt on so many teams, consistently dominating, getting up 15-20 against, I was solid Horizon competition. It was very, very impressive.
Second leg of back-to-backs was Wright State's home.
Yeah, if you competed with them or you beat them, they were going to open up a can of whoop ass on that second leg, and they did so. Kai, I like Right Side here. I think the better team. You're catching 2 free points of value the way I see it. Maybe that's I could be disrespecting the home court, but I think these two teams should be a pick 'em on Marshall's home floor.
In a weird way, Matt, this is like the second of their back-to-back, only it's a year later.
Yeah. Right.
I'm with you. I think Wright State's the better team. I would agree. It should be closer to a pick 'em. Marshall is one guard away to me right now. They've got the freshman that's been playing pretty well. His name's escaping me right now, but I'm waiting to see a little bit from them. Kinsey's great, Taylor's great, but Wright State's got the dominant front court. Marshall doesn't have the shot blocker like Jansen Williams that they've had in the past. So I think Wright State gets their revenge here.
Yeah, rest assured, Wright State is still plenty good without Loudon Love. Their star who left last year, Grant Basile, is a monster. Basile. That's two.
Also,
for me. That's two for this episode.
Scott Nagy, 31-20 against the number non-conference last 5 years.
He's a good coach, and so is D'Antoni. There's two good coaches on the sidelines here.
I agree.
I lean towards Wright State as well. Nothing strong. I have the spread pretty much where it is, so I'm different than you guys. All right, chat mob.
You're
Matt,
built different, Kai.
I'm built different. You're darn right, Jim. Matthew, any other questions we got?
A lot of questions about the backyard brawl. Surprised this didn't make the outline. I'm not sure who was in charge of that, but shame on you.
One of these teams is terrible, so
yeah, that's true. The rivalry still makes it noteworthy, so we will discuss it as it's been asked by many folks. West Virginia laying a healthy margin. I think the number's up to what's 15. Please check me up.
15.5.
15.5
against Pitt.
Wow.
And they're playing what's effectively just a mid-major at this point in Pitt. It'll be a ruckus crowd. I don't feel like this is a letdown or a lull spot just because of the rivalry here, Kai. But West Virginia, not a team that we really are encouraged by in terms of their offensive consistency and fluidity. Not a team I'm excited to back as a large favorite, but I do think the number's too low given how bad Pitt has been.
I backed West Virginia in game 1 against Oakland. They couldn't get away from them. And that was a very, very discouraging result. And Bob Huggins was so pissed in the presser about that game. Oakland, looking at it, 20 offensive rebounds in that game.
Yeah.
That's a 48% rebounding rate. That's terrible. And that's definitely not what we come to expect from West Virginia, a team that kind of prides itself on physicality, rebounding, toughness. Yeah. If they show up like that against Pitt, even if it is Pitt, Jim, and they're down to like one guard and a walk-on, I don't know. I'm a little bit scared to lay the points, but you certainly shouldn't be confident in betting on Pitt, Jim.
No, not at all. I mean, I don't think a Bob Huggins team will play that soft on the glass 2 games in a row. I can't imagine what their practices were like, especially Wednesday, right off of that. It had to be a war, and they're going to pressure a little more this year, Matt. And I think against Pitt, if you do that, you're going to be in business. I mean, Pitt was down 15 right away against the Citadel. Like it wasn't like, oh, the Citadel got away from them late. It was a thorough blowout the whole way. And Pitt has one guard. Odekali's the only guard left besides the walk-on. And I think this could be a turnover fest. A more disciplined, zeroed in West Virginia team could take care of business here. I worry for Pitt backers.
Yeah, I worry for West Virginia backers as well, just given the concerns we cite on the offensive end. But we'll see how it plays out. How about Matty Akers? A little 2 for special. We're going to lead off, Jim, with Chicago State, asking if we should fade Chicago State against. Like, well, that didn't work out very well. Game 1 took down the Tommies, coming off what I assume is an emotional euphoria, getting their first D1 win and over.
They haven't stopped celebrating.
They should.
My sources say.
And Kai, if I were still in town this week, I mean, you would be out in town with them. Well,
right.
I guess not tonight because they have a game, but we should have been last night. They are catching 11 hosting Edwardsville. Feels like a low number given it's Chicago State and Edwardsville's coming from close by Milwaukee. Jim, are you looking to lay the road favorite here as a sort of a letdown spot for Chicago State that even exists?
I have nothing here. If I had to, I would take SIUE. I would lay the points. I think watching that Chicago State St. Thomas game was way more about, St. Thomas is a group of, they look like 15-year-olds relative to Division I athletes. Like they're good basketball players, but they are not athletic. And that was what allowed Chicago State to get up early and come back late and end up securing that one. I think SIUE is in a different league. They hung with Marquette. It was pretty impressive, basically the whole way. I think SIUE could blow them out, but I don't quite have the number to bet it, Kai.
The play is Edwardsville, in my opinion, Jim. I don't think Chicago State is shooting close to 50% from 3 again. That's a total anomaly. And like you said, St. Thomas might be, they're D3 to D1. We expected some issues here. Obviously, we gave a lot of respect to Tower, their head coach. That's one of the reasons we were on them in the first game. But looking at them against Chicago State, it's like, okay, maybe this was a little bit too big of a leap here. So I think you're right. It's more about St. Thomas than it was against Chicago State. Right.
Yep.
Rayshawn Taylor, one of my favorite mid-major guards. That's a name to write down. SIUE. He's a guy from our neck of the woods in St. Louis, having a breakout year.
Oh, good.
Matty Akers, second of his 2 for special. Kai, I'm going to you here. Virginia Tech, Navy off of the amazing with an asterisk next to it, depending on how good or not good you think Virginia is. But still,
it's amazing.
Navy beat Virginia at Virginia. That's an incredible win.
Yeah.
So now they have to play Virginia Tech. Is there a letdown in the future here, or is Navy just good as they have been the last 2 years, and we're just too stubborn to admit it?
Yeah, I don't really understand how Ed DeChellis is maintaining this level. It's very impressive. John Carter's a stud, their point guard. I think Virginia Tech's a little bit too much. I still think Virginia is a very good team, by the way. There's a lot of overreaction to early results, especially first game results. So I'm not really worried about Virginia. 10 points, that's a bit too much for me. But I don't think Navy's going to win 2 in a row here.
If Virginia pulls a Washington and struggles again against Radford today, then I will probably have some concerns. This game's going to be gross. Navy really likes to slow it down. They play the tricky zone stuff that is hard to figure out, but Mike Young's a really good coach, and they've got more offensive talent than Virginia does. So the Hokies can hopefully figure that out. I know Aluma had like some back spasm issues, I believe, in their first game, but there's still plenty here for Virginia Tech. I don't want to bet them on the road as a road favorite right now, personally. So it's a stay away, but I don't think they're in as much trouble as Virginia was in that opener.
I had one more, but I just saw a chat come in. Let's stay with the Naval Academies. Luke Murphy asking about Army. Kai, they are playing Duke, and I would say Duke looked good to quite good in their opening night debut.
Yeah.
The angle here for me, as a longtime fraudulent Duke fan, as my Duke decor behind me indicates.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
Coach K, a West Point alum. I don't know if I think he's too nice to run up the score. The question is Duke just too good to keep it under the number? I don't know. Where do you stand?
I kind of lean that way. Yeah, I think you're right that Coach K is going to instill in his players, you are not running up the score against this team. I actually lean towards the over. I'm just kind of scared that Army can't score against Duke because Duke is enormous at all 5 positions.
Yeah, Matt, I lean towards your Duke is too good to not blow them out. Coach K is 0-2 against the spread against Army since Patriot teams started getting lined. So that would speak to your point. But the Banchero is unbelievable. Keels, who is stopping Trevor Keels in this one? If Kentucky couldn't do it, then nobody.
Mark Williams just dunks all night. Dunks.
Yeah.
Alley-oops.
It feels like Coach K doesn't want to destroy them, but his team's just too good kind of thing. So I would lean towards Duke myself.
All right. Last up or 2 more here. I'm going to save one, which is a best bet. But the last one I have here written down, I know, right? Actually, we'll start that on my little notepad. Very proud of myself.
Growth from that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. The crowd goes wild off in the distance. Middle Tennessee State. Jim, I think I just triggered you. I didn't mean to even say that school. They are laying 13 points to a Division I basketball team. Not a very good team.
They should
Bethune-Cookman. I'm with you. I like Bethune, a team that I thought was going to be bottom 5 in the country, but they hung in there at South Florida. So to me, this feels like a no-brainer. Take Bethune.
Yeah, South Florida Bethune score final is misleading. It was not a blowout the way that it looks. Middle Tennessee just shouldn't be a double-digit favorite over basically anyone. It is kind of where I land. Bethune-Cookman threw out a zone, and it was really frustrating for South Florida. And Middle Tennessee has some zone issues, shooting issues as well. So, yeah, I would lean towards Reggie Theus and the dog.
Agreed. Kai, best bet time. Start us off here. Well, Matthew, I'm going with Green Bay, Wisconsin under. And I'm not usually a totals guy. I'm not the Undertaker like Jim Root over there. It's Will Ryan, head coach of Green Bay, heading back to his childhood roots.
The Ryan Bowl.
His daddy, Bo, was the coach of Wisconsin for many, many moons. He's not looking to run. He's looking to slow the game down, and the Badgers certainly aren't looking to run either, running their patented swing offense. The Green Bay offense is anemic. It's very, very bad. I don't think they're going to score many points. We saw Wisconsin put up 81 against St. Francis, New York in the first game. That team runs, though. They run a lot. Green Bay, exact opposite. I think it's very, very low possession. Under 133 checking in at BetRivers right now.
Green Bay ran in their first game, but I think it was mostly a symptom of playing Indiana State, who has a new coach that's like, let's go,
right.
Let's run.
I agree.
I think in future games, we will see Green Bay slow down. Agreed. Who's up on best bet? Is it me?
Jim, take it away. I want to be the encore here.
All right. I'll hand you the baton as the anchor. I'm going with Texas State as an underdog at LSU. Let me get the official spread here.
The boys of San Marcos.
Plus 13.5. Yep. I'll ride with that. LSU absolutely demolished Louisiana Monroe in the first game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Like 80 points.
They came out scorching in that game. Darius Days, I think, hit 6 or 7 threes in the first half. That really helps. Texas State is going to slow this game to a crawl. They really want to play in the half court. I don't think LSU's half court offense is ready. It's basically Xavier Pinson and some other guards we're not totally sure about yet. So I think Texas State keeps it close. Team that won the regular season in the Sun Belt last year. I'll take the 13.5, Matthew.
Love it. I'm going to stay on the West Coast for my best bet. Taking the tree. Stanford as they travel just a stone's throw across the Bay Area to face Santa Clara. For some reason, people seem to think Santa Clara is only 3 points or should only be catching 3 points against a good, in my opinion.
Man.
I think the last
Stanford's good, sir?
I do. Harrison Ingram is awesome. I love what I saw. He's basically just a better version of the failed experiment they had last year with their other 5-star freshmen. Their supporting cast is solid. I think Stanford has an identity. They're a great undervalued bet on team against a Clara team. The we've faded a lot the last 2 years. They've just been overvalued in the market, especially early on.
Yeah.
Lots of length. They're good defensively. They're well coached. I don't like fading those types of elements, but when I'm only laying 3 with, essentially, the home court will be what I can't imagine the Santa Clara Stadium is going to be rocking. No offense to the Santa Clara Broncos fans there. I like Stanford here, -3.
Yeah. And Stanford can walk to the gym, Matt. So,
yep.
Yeah. To your point, probably pretty
Actually, traffic's bad there. It's probably an hour commute door to door. Does it give me a chat community? Please get the official current Google Maps ETA. We'd appreciate that.
Kai, what'd you say your number was for your under?
It's 133.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah. I thought you said something lower. So I want to make sure you got your value.
No, 133 at BetRivers, Jim.
Yep.
That's it, Kai. Just one for me today. Sign us off.
All right. Well, you're the host, buddy. No, you're not. Wow, I pulled a Matt. Holy cow.
My goodness. Guys,
Wow,
I'm
you
worried
hosted-
about Kai today. He yawned. He got some names pronounced wrong. He doesn't know.
Oh
who's
my gosh.
hosting.
Matt hosted Best Bets without my knowledge. That is totally on me. Hey, you know what? I'm going to sign us off though. Field of 68. That's who hosts this show. It's awesome. BetRivers, presented by. I'm all over the place.
Hey,
Tune in
like
next.
and subscribe. Do that.
Yes, like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Field of 68 Best Bets tomorrow, 10:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, Saturday. Huge slate again. We'll see you guys then. Good luck tonight with your bets.